Now
If you
Sanjay
go
Jha,
after everyone.
Narendra Taneja's argument is on the lines of the argument we've heard from the Adani group, that this is an attack on India. And the fact is that Gautam Adani is arguably one of the most ambitious, audacious businessmen this generation has seen. He's got great appetite. He's linked his fortunes very closely with the fortunes of the India story, especially on the infra play. He's taking these big, bold bets in the hope that as India grows, his company will grow as well. And yet, he seems over-leveraged in certain parts. But as these projects stabilize, the cash flows stabilize, he would be able to pull it off. And therefore, the Adani Group's counter is that this is not an attack on one corporate house. This is an attack on the India story. They're trying to take India down.
Rahul, that is outrageous rubbish. And I think it's about time we bit the bullet on this conversation. I think there's no need for, I think every panelist is being politically correct. The elephant in the room is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's proximity to Gautam Adani. And I think, there's no need for us to pussyfoot around on that subject. Mr. Adani's wealth grew by his overall wealth. 85% of it has happened in the last 3 years. And we are talking about an obscene amount of over $127 billion. We are not talking about some chicken feed here. And you're talking about a company who in 2022, out of the entire stock market capitalization growth, Rahul, 80% came from one group. And I want to ask a question through your rather respectable channel. Where was SEBI? Where was the Ministry of Finance? I mean, today, if Hindenburg has talked about stock market manipulation, it was palpable to anyone who was probably even a kindergarten exposure to what, stock market trading is all about. I mean, this is a daylight highway robbery. And I challenge Mr. Adani's group to take Hindenburg on a defamation case in New York. Because Hindenburg has put a lot of stuff in the public domain. And I think, as you rightly mentioned, this is a bailout. This FPO is a bailout. Let's not even waste our time discussing it. Here is a group that has lost $67 billion in market cap in 3 trading days, having to get $2 billion of subscription. I mean, that's no big deal at all. We all know how this happens. We all know where this money comes from. I mean, end of day, I also want to question the wisdom of those people who have paid more than what the market price of the stock was today. I mean, it's irrational, it's bizarre. So the fundamental point, Rahul, that we need to address here, we are all adults, and we all know what politics is and the economics is and how the two, kind of get conflated. The truth of matter is this, that today there is an enterprising individual who's grown big on infra, but this is also a manifestation of blatant crony capitalism.
But, if you ask Mr. Adani or someone in the group, their response will be that most of the projects that they've won have actually been won through tender. Take for example, any of the corporate groups would have wanted to bid for any of the ports or airports or anything else, they could have done that as well. This is because Mr. Adani has higher appetite for risk and more belief in the India story. Salman Soz has his hand up. But all of it is won through tender, which is an open, which is a tender which other companies could have jumped in and done as well. So why hold it against him if he just has greater belief in the India story? Well, Salman Soz.
Just 2 points, Salman, and I would love to hear you. Can I make just 2 short points?
Okay,
then I'm done.
Sanjay, go on. Yeah.
Number one, I think I would like everyone to kindly Google how the Mumbai airport was frankly taken over. I mean, this is legend stuff. I mean, I can tell you, I live in Mumbai. I have lots of friends in the banking industry. I'm a former banker myself. And I can tell you something. I mean, the way it was taken over, I think it was far from transparent. And I'm just being highly charitable. Point number 2, SEBI has been aware of suspicious transaction reports, which are called STRs, for a long time. 1.5 years, even Mahua Moitra, I think, put out her letter to SEBI. I want to ask, what's going on there? So at the end of the day, you have a regulatory capture by this government. So tomorrow, if Rahul Kanwal were to make bridges, who knows, you could be richer than Mr. Adani in 3 years. It's possible I could become one if we were all trying to, be sycophants to the BJP ecosystem. So I think the bottom line here is the way it has happened in India, it's shocking. And the Hindenburg acquisitions are there in the public domain. Watch and see what happens. I believe a can of worms is out. Mr. Adani's future is depending upon his ability to make transparent disclosures on his overseas tax havens and how have they played a role in his stock price.